Hello, I'm Program Manager and Community Chef Doreece of the Sylvia Center. The Sylvia Center is a hands-on food and nutrition program located here in New York City and also upstate in Columbia County. Today we're going to be making vegetable stock. We can make stock with vegetables, any type of bones. We can use chicken bones, beef bones, veal bones, fish bones even, and we can use this as a base to our sauces as well as some soups. The good thing about stock is that we can have all the nutrients that we need for our bodies, especially when we're sick, right in the liquid. What we're going to do is we're going to cut up a whole bunch of vegetables or any type of vegetables that we have left over, and they would go into a pot with some water along with some seasonings and some herbs, and we will bring it to a boil and down to a simmer and just let it go for a little while, and we'll throw all of the vegetables out because we're getting all the nutrients and things that we need from it. And then we would have a nice base for whatever we're going to do next with it. Now that we have all of our ingredients, this is what we would call a mirepoix. A mirepoix is a 50% mixture of onions and a 25% mixture of celery and a 25% mixture of carrots. All of those things is what we call what makes up a mirepoix: carrot, onion, and celery. And it's always the same ratio: 50% onion, 25% celery, and 25% carrot. If we use 50% carrot, then it's going to be orange. If we use 50% celery, then it's going to taste like celery. So we're going to use the majority, which is going to be onions, and then we have our celery and our carrots. Also, we're going to use some parsley stem. Parsley stem has a lot of flavor in them, and a lot of people don't use the parsley stem. They usually throw this away. So instead of throwing things away, we're going to do something which is make stock. All the things that we would usually throw away is what we would put inside of stock. I'm going to add a little bit of extra flavoring. I'm going to be using some garlic. I'm also going to add some thyme and some whole peppercorns. These are all of my ingredients for my stock except for water. That's all that's going to go inside of the pot. As you can see, there is no salt here. The reason why I'm not adding salt to this mixture is because whatever I'm going to do with the stock next is going to be soup or chili, whatever it might be. I'm going to add salt to that. We can put our parsley stems directly into the pot. We can also put our thyme directly into the pot. We don't have to worry about breaking it down. I'm not going to use a lot of pepper. I'm going to use about maybe six to eight peppercorns directly into the pot. Now I'm going to start to break down my carrots, my onions, and my celery. And then I'm going to get them into the pot as well. Everything has been washed off. My hands are all washed and ready to go. All of the produce has been washed and ready to go. So now our next step is just to break it down. So I have my chef knife. My pointer and my thumb goes onto the blade. The rest of my fingers wrap around the handle. I'm just going to give the carrots, the onion, and the celery a nice rough chop, and I'm going to add that to the stock pot. I'm going to add some water just to cover the vegetables, and then I'm going to bring it up to a boil and down to a simmer. As you can see with the celery, usually we don't eat this part. This is the part that we would throw away, or even the celery tops. We would throw those things away. But in this case, we're not going to throw anything away. Everything that we would have thrown away is going to go directly into the pot. Now for my onion. We have the root and we have the top. Usually we don't make any cuts through the root, but today, because we're using the entire onion, including the skin, everything is going in the pot. So I'm not really worried about whether or not I cut the root. Nice little tunnel. Again, we're using the entire onion and we're just doing a nice rough chop. Doesn't have to be perfect, because everything is going into the pot. I'm also going to use some garlic. I'm not going to use much, maybe 3 or 4 cloves. I don't really need to cut these up. I'm just going to crush them. Skin and all is all going into the pot. So now all of my ingredients are nice and rough chopped. I have my celery, my carrots. I also have my onion. Remember the ratio, 50% onion to 25% carrot and 25% celery. I'm also going to add an extra little bit of flavor. I'm going to put in 3 cloves of garlic and just a sprinkle of peppercorns have gone into the pot. So everything goes into the pot and then we dump in the water. Waste not, want not. If you don't have a big stock pot, that's okay. Any big pot that you have will do. And now we're going to get some water into the pot. Usually you can just put enough water to cover the vegetables, but in this case I'm going to make a lot more stock, because when you make stock you should make it into a big batch and you can put it into the freezer and it can stay in the freezer 3 to 6 months. Once your water, your herb, your seasoning, as well as your mirepoix is inside of the pot, give it a nice stir. And then we can turn on our flame. Remember, we have to bring this to a boil first. A boil means that many rapid bubbles reach the surface. Like pop, 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 pop. And then we bring it down to a simmer. A simmer just means a few bubbles at the surface. So instead of the rolling boil, pop, 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 we would just have a pop, pop, pop. Okay? Want to put this on high heat because, again, I need to get this up to a boil. The quicker I can get it up to a boil, the quicker I can bring it down to a simmer. So we're going to leave this on until we get it to a boil, and then we'll be back. So our stock has gotten to a boil, so I'm going to give it a nice stir. We're going to turn it down to a simmer. So a simmer means we're going to bring the flame all the way down, just like that. And all of the bubbles, the boiling, it calmed down, and now you can only see a few pops on the surface, and that would be a simmer. We're going to allow this to simmer for about 30 minutes before we're able to actually strain it and use it. Okay everyone, so now we're back with our stock. It is ready to go. We are going to strain it into a smaller stock pot, and the purpose of straining it is to make sure that we do not have any of the chunky vegetables in there, because remember, all we're looking for is this lovely clear liquid. It's very important to be safe with this because this pot is hot. I'm going to wear my oven mitts, and when I strain, I'm going to aim for the strainer when I pour this in. Now we are done. We have some nice stock. So our vegetable stock is done. It has been strained, and I also quartered it up. You can use a ladle to help you with putting the stock into a quart container or any Ziploc container or Tupperware that you may have. So this is our stock. I'm going to use this for chili, for soup, for sauces, or just a drink. Sometimes I feel that way. You can even make some ramen with this. Again, we use a mirepoix, which is carrot, onion, and celery. 50% onion, 25% carrot and celery. It's very tasty, it's very fragrant. I wish you guys can smell it now. If you like this video and would like to see more activities, recipes, and community resources, please go to www.sylviacenter.org. Remember, stay healthy and keep cooking.